He had always been impatient. Everything in his life demanded speed, success, recognition, even love. He ran from one goal to the next, chasing achievements as if they were fragile birds he had to catch before they disappeared. Yet, no matter how much he accomplished, there was always an emptiness gnawing at him. His mind was a whirlwind of tasks, and his heart had grown quiet, almost numb. One evening, weary and restless, he wandered into the forest beyond his village. He had heard rumors of a hermit monk living deep within, a man said to hold wisdom about life, patience, and the way the world truly worked. He thought it was nonsense at first. What could an old monk know that he didn't? And yet, the persistent emptiness in his chest pulled him forward like a magnet, guiding him into the shadows of the ancient trees. After hours of walking, he came upon a clearing where the moonlight touched a large, smooth stone at the center. And there, sitting cross-legged atop it, was the monk. His robes were simple, his face serene, and his eyes held the quiet intensity of someone who had seen everything and yet remained untouched by it. "You've been running," the monk said without looking up, his voice soft yet compelling. "Tell me, what are you chasing?" The young man laughed bitterly. "Success, happiness, peace, I don't know, something, everything, but it always slips through my fingers." The monk nodded. "Then you must first learn to stand still." The man scoffed, impatient. "Stand still? How will that help me? Life won't wait while I do nothing." The monk smiled faintly and pointed to the stone beneath him. "Sit, observe, listen, and perhaps it will speak to you." Frustrated but curious, the man sat cross-legged on the cool stone. At first, nothing happened, only the sounds of the forest, the rustle of leaves, the whisper of wind, the distant hoot of an owl. He shifted uncomfortably. Minutes passed, then hours. His mind roared in protest. And then quietly, as though the stone itself were breathing, a soft vibration echoed through his body. A voice, deep and calm, whispered, "Why do you hurry? What are you afraid of missing?" Startled, he looked around, but the clearing was empty except for the monk and the stone. He realized the voice came from within him, from the stillness he had never allowed himself to experience. The monk spoke again. "Every moment you chase, you leave behind the present. Every action without reflection becomes hollow. Life is not a race, but a river, and rushing only causes you to stumble." The young man's chest tightened. He had never thought of life as a river. He had only seen it as a ladder to climb, each rung a milestone. But the monk's words stirred something deep inside, something he had buried under ambition and impatience. Days passed. Each evening he returned to the clearing, sitting on the stone, listening. Slowly, the stone seemed to speak more clearly. It taught him patience, not as waiting, but as presence. It showed him that true strength comes from stillness, that clarity emerges only when one stops running from fear, regret, and desire. One evening, the monk asked him to close his eyes and recall a moment he had rushed through, something he had never truly appreciated. The young man remembered his father dying in silence, words unspoken, love unexpressed. Pain struck him like lightning. "I wasted time," he whispered. "I never told him." The monk placed a hand on his shoulder. "Time is never wasted. You can only act now. The past is a teacher, not a jailer. Carry its lessons forward." Tears came unbidden. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to feel the weight of his own choices, the moments ignored, the words unsaid, the opportunities abandoned. And with the tears came relief, a sense of release he had never known. Over the following weeks, the monk guided him through exercises of observation, stillness, and reflection. He learned to slow his breath, to watch the movements of nature, to notice how sunlight danced across leaves, how ants labored in silence, how rivers shaped stones over centuries. Every small lesson was profound. The young man realized that strength, courage, and wisdom were not found in speed or accumulation, but in awareness, presence, and patience. The final lesson came unexpectedly. The monk asked him to carry the stone back to the village. At first, it seemed impossible, heavy, cumbersome. Yet step by step he carried it, learning that endurance comes not from rushing, but from persistent effort, mindful action, and acceptance of effort's difficulty. By the time he reached the village, his muscles ached, but his heart felt light, as if he had shed years of unnecessary weight. And then the monk spoke words that would remain with him forever. The stones spoke only because you listened. Life will always speak, but most people run past its voice. Do not be them. Walk slowly, observe, feel, listen, and you will never be lost. As the hero returned to his home, he noticed the world differently, the colors, the sounds, the subtle movements he had always ignored. Every interaction, every step, every breath became meaningful. And in that awareness, he found a power far greater than ambition, the power of presence, patience, and inner peace. If you are watching this story right now, pause and reflect. What is the stone in your life? What have you been running past? Relationships, moments, opportunities, or your own inner voice? Take one step today to sit still, listen, and act with awareness. Comment below what your first step will be and subscribe to this channel, because stories like this are meant to guide you toward your own inner awakening. The hero never forgot the stone, never forgot the monk, and never forgot the lesson. The world's true treasures are not always visible to the hurried eye. They are in the moments you choose to notice, the stillness you choose to embrace, and the patience you choose to practice. And with each day lived fully, he discovered that life was no longer a chase, but a journey. And every journey, when mindful, became extraordinary.